Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a video on hedgehog wheels and why I have two of them. And they are for this little lady. Look at that face. Look at that face. She's so cute. This is Noodle, for those of you who have not met her yet. It is morning time, and so I'm gonna put her up in just a moment because she is sleepy. I'm sure all of you know, but hedgehogs are nocturnal, and it is not currently nighttime. So I'm gonna put her back in her cage and let her go to sleep. Can you smile for me, baby? Well, give us a smile. She said, no, Mama, you dumb. Okay, listen y'all, Noodle is my best friend, even if she doesn't know it. So I wanted to talk to you today about why I have two hedgehog wheels and compare them. So this is the KT Comfort Wheel, Annunciation Comfort Wheel, and this is the Flying Saucer. It has a brand name, but I don't know that I remember the brand name. Maybe it's just Flying Saucer. I'll link to both of them in the description box. The Flying Saucer I got from Chewy. The Comfort Wheel I believe I got from Amazon. So I just wanted to talk briefly about, like I said, why I have two different wheels and compare them a little bit. So Noodle has, I guess what you would call early onset arthritis. She has spondylosis. So she has arthritis in her spine, in her back. I'll try to insert a photo if I can. I feel like that would be helpful. So the last time we got an x-ray of her done, actually it's the only time we've ever had to do an x-ray, luckily, but she was having some trouble with activity. Like, she wasn't very active, she wasn't playing, she wasn't running on her wheel, and I was really concerned. So I took her to the vet, and he said, okay, well, let's do an x-ray. And they have this, they like put her in a box, like a container, not like a Tupperware, but kinda, and pumped the gas to make her go to sleep, the anesthesia through it. So that's how they did her anesthesia. I know that sometimes they put little like masks on them, but she did not get a mask. I wasn't there. They told me about it afterwards. I didn't like get to watch them do it. But anyway, so they put her to sleep, made her really sleepy, and that was how they got the x-ray. He showed it to me after they were done. If you look at the vertebrae lower down her back, she has some real issues with, I mean, you can see where the arthritis is. I'm not a vet, so I'm not exactly sure the words to describe it, but you can see where the bones have spiky parts. That she has bone growth. Bone spurs, that's what arthritis is. Anyways, I feel really bad for her. It's not funny. I just can't describe it very accurately. But anyway, so Noodle has spondylosis. I think it kind of comes and goes for her. It might be weather related. At some times she's more active, at other times she's not so active. So like right now it's really, really hot outside. We live in Tennessee in the southern US, and so it's summer and it's hot even at night. So she has been a little bit less active. If something is terribly wrong, I take her to the vet. She does get pain medicine if she needs it, that kind of thing. But anyway, that's kind of a little background on her health situation. She was diagnosed with spondylosis almost a year ago, I guess, close to a year ago. And so, like I said, you know, she gets pain medicine from time to time when she needs it, but it really has not been super troublesome. And part of the reason is because of the wheels that we have. So I'll just talk about the Flying Saucer first. So I did clean both of them this morning. There's like a couple spots left on it. I wasn't gonna show you guys in this video how I clean the wheels. I mean, if you want to see that, let me know. But I kind of, woo, that sun is coming through. All right. Good morning, everybody. Hey, we'll just roll with it. So anyway, like I said, I don't know if you want to, I don't know why, if you want to see me cleaning the wheels, but basically I use dish liquid, and it's antibacterial dish liquid. So I think that's important because they poo on their wheels and they run in their poop and they get poop boots on their feet and it's gross. So to make sure that we don't get any infection, urine burn, irritation, that kind of thing, we do use antibacterial dish liquid. So give it a good squirt, give it a good soak with the, what's the word I'm looking for, faucet, and then I usually wipe it down with a paper towel. I don't give it back to her wet, and because there are mechanisms in it, this one doesn't have any metal mechanisms as far as I'm aware, it's just plastic, but because like I said, it does have, you know, moving parts. On a metal wheel, it's more important because you don't want there to be rust. That is more so key on the comfort wheel, which we'll get to. But anyways, you just want to make sure that you have their wheel pretty dry because it prevents, you know, mold, rust, things that you don't want. For those of you who have seen our previous 2-story hedgehog cage tour, you will see that this, which actually, I don't know if you can see it back there, I'm going to do like an updated layout video. I try to change up her cage layout from time to time just for variety, and she wasn't really using the ramp that I made for her. She would kind of go up it, but not really go to the second floor, and I was like, well, if you're not going to use this and it's just going to get dirty, then I'm just going to take it out and redo it and, you know, maybe make something that you enjoy and have fun with a little bit more. But in that video, the reason that I have this one in her cage is because it fits so nicely under that second story. So we were utilizing floor space as much as possible. But I got this initially because of her spondylosis. If you can imagine, when you have a hedgehog running on these 2 wheels, in this one, her back is a little bit arched. Now this is the largest comfort wheel that you can get. So it's made for larger animals. I think you can also use it for Syrian hamsters and maybe some gerbils, but most people are going to use that 12-inch large size for their hedgehogs, unless it's a baby hedgehog, but then eventually it will need the large 12-inch size because it makes their back curve. So if you can imagine a hedgehog sitting here, it curves their back. So for Noodle, who has spondylosis, pressure on her vertebrae is uncomfortable, and it, you know, I don't know how much pain it causes her, but that's not something that I really want to play around with all that much. So when she was less active, I got her this wheel because I thought it might help with her activity and it might make her back a little bit more comfortable. So if you can imagine, she stands right here and goes, not around the wheel. Obviously the wheel spins like this, right? So she stands here and runs here, if that makes sense. So I like this because the angle is different, and it can be easier on hedgehogs who struggle with, you know, whether it's discomfort or pain, or they just don't want to arch their backs, or, you know, if you have a hedgehog who doesn't like to run on their wheel, the flying saucer might be a really good alternative. However, Noodle's favorite wheel is still her comfort wheel. I leave the flying saucer in her cage, even though I've redone the cage and taken out the second floor. This is still the wheel that's in her cage, and she does run on it at night. If you guys have seen, I think we put up, I know we did a routine video on TikTok, like what our daily routine is. I think we might have done one on YouTube. I'll have to double check. But essentially at night, I'll put her in her playpen. So she has her cage, obviously, where she like lives during the day, but then at night I have this very large, I have 2 playpens actually that I put together to make a wider area so that she can run around and play. And I put this wheel in here. So when I get her out of her playpen and put her back in her cage at night, she still runs on this, but not nearly as much as she runs on this comfort wheel. When she's in her playpen, she might run on this comfort wheel 3-4 hours. Usually, like, I'll put her down in her playpen when I get ready to not go to sleep but lay down. So maybe I'm playing Animal Crossing or reading a book or watching TV or whatever, not TV but like Netflix. You know, I'm in my bedroom laying down relaxing, and then when I get ready to go to sleep, I'll put her away. And so while I'm laying in bed just relaxing, she's in her playpen and she's running on her wheel, and then when I get ready to go to bed, like I said, I put her back in her cage. So she has access to both wheels every night, but by and large she prefers this one over this one. When I put her in her playpen, she will run on the KT comfort wheel, like I said, for 3-4 hours. If I accidentally doze off and wake up sometimes at like 2 in the morning, she's still running, and I usually put her down, like I said, 9-10 o'clock, sometimes as early as 8. And so she'll just kind of run the whole time. In the past 3-4 days, she's been a little bit less active. But like I said, the temperature has really drastically increased in the last few days here in Tennessee. Yes, the comfort wheel, she definitely will run on longer. That's kind of why we have 2 different wheels. I can't tell you why she prefers this one over the flying saucer. And I can't tell you that your hedgehog will prefer one or the other. I mean, they're all individuals and they all have little personalities. That's just kind of why we have 2. We have 2 so that, you know, if she chooses to run on her flying saucer, or if her back is hurting, or her arthritis acts up, whatever might happen, she has the option almost every day to run on both. And she continues to choose the comfort wheel, but like I said, you know, she does use her flying saucer, and I do want to make sure that she has both options, so that she can be comfortable and make her own choice every day. And plus, it's just, I think, additional enrichment, you know, to be able to have access to 2 different wheels every day. Not every hedgehog needs that. Not every hedgehog wants or enjoys that. But that's just noodle. Some pros and cons. So the thing about the KT Comfort Wheel is that it is, I think, a little bit more stable, especially if you have fleece bedding. When you have fleece bedding like we do, you can put the fleece like over top of it and put this piece under the fleece, if that makes sense, so it sits on the bottom of the cage, whether that's a plastic bottom, a bin cage, whatever you might have. This can sit on the bottom and then the bedding can go here, or you can sit it on top of the bedding. You can't do that with the flying saucer. Like, there's not enough space really to fit fleece bedding under or in between the plastic wheel and the base. There's not enough room really, because the fleece is, you know, thicker than that. So when you set this on top of the fleece, it can be a little bit wobbly. You can't really tighten up the bearings in here, I don't think. I mean, it's not terribly wobbly. I wouldn't even necessarily say that it is super wobbly. It's just less stable than this, because you don't have the option of putting this on. You don't have the option of putting the flying saucer on like solid cage, really, if you have fleece bedding. I don't always put this in, like I said, I put this in her playpen, not really in her cage. But that is a big difference. I like this one in the cage because it takes up less vertical space, and like I said, I want her to have access to both. Also, this wheel is loud, and this is about what it sounds like when she's running on it. So, I mean, I know that my hand is hitting it, but when she's running on this wheel at night, it gets really, really loud. Her little paws, and it's, of course, all of them are going to have a little like wiggle wobble room, so they're all going to make noise to a certain extent. But the flying saucer is certainly a lot quieter than the comfort wheel. The comfort wheel is different than the silent spinner. It's really important to point that out. Silent spinner, the KT silent spinner, we used to have one when I first got her, mostly because I didn't know any better. The silent spinner is a really popular KT wheel, and it's, you've probably seen it. It has like colored plastic, like green, blue. I think there's a couple other colors, and then clear on the front. No, it's white on the back, and then the colored plastic is on the front. And it's kind of a little bulbous. And the problem with that wheel is that it has drainage holes in the bottom, which I think works, from what I understand, it's a good wheel for smaller animals, like smaller hamsters, more, I suppose you would say, lightweight animals. But for hedgehogs, it can be really dangerous, because when they have those little drainage slits where the 2 pieces of plastic meet, their toes can get stuck and ripped and break nails and break toes, harm feet, etc., etc. And so that is very different than this wheel. This is not a silent spinner. Don't get a silent spinner. You shouldn't have wire wheels. Those all wire wheels, yes, they are aesthetic, but they're extremely dangerous for that very same reason. Little toes and little feet are very delicate, and they're also very easy to injure. And so when you're using a wire wheel or a silent spinner for hedgehogs, that happens frequently. So I just want to point out, like, this is not a silent spinner, and I don't have a silent spinner anymore. We used to cover up the drainage holes with duct tape, and like, yeah, it kept her toe from being ripped, but then it doesn't drain, and she's like running in pee and poop, which is gross. So the comfort wheel, I think these are less drainage holes and more so for when you're cleaning it or for airflow maybe. Because obviously when they're running, like they don't run here, so that's not really gonna drain anything. But it's helpful when I'm cleaning it because I lay it down flat and spray the water in it. And so the water drains out the back. So I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be for, but it's helpful to me for that reason. You can also see it has ridges in it. So it's easier when she's running, it's not smooth sided. The silent spinner isn't smooth sided either. It has those ridges, but it definitely makes it easier for them to run on and gain traction. If it was smooth sided, it would be very difficult for them to run on. So that's a few features of the comfort wheel. The silent spinner, the flying saucer also has these ridges. It does not have any drainage holes at all. Unless there's something that I'm just missing here. There's no drainage holes. The other thing I was talking about when I showed you, like this is where the, I guess you would say the bearing is, that's where the mechanism for it to spin is. This is obviously the one on the comfort wheel. Now this part, the stand, can actually come out. It's kind of difficult to pull out, but you can do it and clip this to the wheel of a wire, the wall of a wire cage. The flying saucer you cannot take apart. There is no way to clip it to the wall of a cage. So that's another kind of pro and con to put on the list. Con, you can't take this, you can't sit it underneath the fleece bedding and put it on a stable surface. You can't take it apart and put it on a wire wall. There definitely are some drawbacks to the flying saucer. This one can clip to the wall of your cage, but like I mentioned before, this has metal pieces to it. So again, you want to make sure that you dry it every time you clean it because it can rust and grow mold. Both of them can grow mold, I suppose. And so those are really important things to watch out for. You might be wondering, I don't know if you can see this. This is a hair tie I put on there last summer because I stuck a piece of, I used it to attach a piece of cardboard to here in the hopes that it wouldn't do that so much and be so loud, because I took Noodle with me on a, I wouldn't really say it's a camping trip. We rented a cabin in the park and it had like electricity and everything, so it wasn't really camping. But we stayed in a cabin with my family, and I knew how loud that wheel was and I didn't want it to keep my family awake. I feel like, you know, hedgehog owners, we're kind of used to the noise maybe and we don't hear it so much, but people who aren't used to hearing a wheel run all night, like it can keep them awake. So I put that hair tie on there so that I could like stick a piece of cardboard through there. It didn't work at all. It was still really loud. So that's just a quick comparison of these two wheels. So yeah, again, you know, the highlights of the flying saucer is the angle. I think it can be particularly helpful for hedgehogs who struggle with back arching for whatever reason. It could also just be more interesting to certain hedgehogs. Like I said, they're individuals. They're all going to have different preferences. You know, some of them like crickets and some of them like waxworms. Like some hedgehogs don't like certain things that other hedgehogs like. And so this is a good option. I think it was like $15 or less. Like I said, I'm going to link to both of them where I purchased them in the description box below, but neither of them were super expensive. This one was, I think, $20 or less, and I got it on Amazon. So I'll link to it below. Highlights of this one are that it's your more standard wheel shape. I feel like it's easier to learn, in my opinion. Like, it took Noodle a couple of weeks to learn how to use this wheel, and she's still not like particularly good at it. She cannot go as fast on this wheel as she can on this one. And maybe that's why she prefers this one, because she likes to zoom, you know, go super fast. I don't know. But this is your more standard wheel. As soon as I put it in her cage, basically the first couple days, she knew what was up. She knew how to use this one. So it may be a little bit easier for hedgehogs to learn to run on that one, whereas the flying saucer does take time. So there's pros and cons to each one. I like them both equally. That's why I have both of them. Because like I said, I want her to have the option. I want her to be able to choose what she wants to do. She has access to this wheel when she's in her playpen in the evening. She has access to this one in her cage. So there's some variety for her. Son, I mean, you can just, it's on here. What if I scoot back? Then you can see my face? I don't know. The birds, I'm watching the bird feeder now. I have a bird feeder that my mom gave me, and so the birds are eating right, like this behind that phone, basically, because I'm recording on my phone, is my apartment like porch door, and we live on the first floor, so we have a lot of birds at our feeder, and the house finches are there now, but we have doves and cardinals. So one of the cardinals is bald on his head, and it's not because he's a baby, and I worry for his health. But so far I have not been able to figure out why he is bald. Anyways. So that's a little bit, like I said, about each of these wheels. I will continue to have both of them. I will continue to use both of them. Pause for the thumbnail. Yeah. Thumbnail. Okay. Thumbnail. Gotta get that thumbnail. Anyway, so I will continue to use both of these wheels. Like I said, at some point they'll probably break down and I'll have to replace them. But that's the case with any wheel. They don't last forever. They do get worn out, especially if you have a marathon runner like Noodle. Whoops. Especially if you have a marathon runner like Noodle can be. So, hope that explains a little bit about each of these wheels, why we have two of them. I'm not saying that you have to have two wheels for your hedgehog, but if you're like us, you know, me, and your hedgehog has, you know, times when they're less active, you might want to look into why. If they're running on their wheel all the time and then suddenly they stop, obviously you want to check into that. But if you think that it has something to do with their back, if they seem to not like being on their back, have back problems, etc., definitely take them to a vet and get that checked out, because Noodle will be turning 2 in July. I don't really know her exact birthday. She's a rescue, so I just say that it's in July. It's around that time. I know she was born in the summer. So Noodle will be turning 2 soon. And she was diagnosed a year ago. So that's a little early for a hedgehog to have arthritis or spondylosis. So don't let it, don't fall into thinking that your hedgehog can't have that problem because they're young, because that's not necessarily the case. They can absolutely have those kind of mobility issues even when they're 1-2 years old, especially if they're a rescue. I mean, so you don't have to have 2 wheels, but we do. And it serves us pretty well. So let me know what your favorite wheel is in the comments. I know the Carolina Storm bucket wheel is probably the most popular hedgehog wheel. Let me know if that's your favorite. Let me know if your hedgehog has a flying saucer and how long it took them to learn it, because I thought Noodle was never going to learn how to use it, but she did. So anyways, I hope that you all have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching this video. I think I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Abby Lee. I'm the creator of SPLOOT News, which is a monthly hedgehog newsletter. If you're watching this, you're probably subscribed to the newsletter, so thank you for that. The links to everything will be in the description box below. Thanks for your time. I hope you have a great day. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Drop me a comment below on your wheel opinions. Wheels are an oft debated topic in the hedgehog world, so I'm always happy to hear other people's opinions. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.